tell me if this sounds familiar. You've been speaking English for many years, you use it every day at work, and you might even live in the US or work with Americans. But you still haven't learned an American accent, or you're just tired of the first thing people think of when you start a conversation being, where are you from? You want them to focus on what you're saying, not how you're saying it. And you might have even taken pronunciation courses before and improved your pronunciation a little bit, but not quite gotten the result that you were hoping for. You can pronounce certain words better and you're a little bit more aware of the sounds, but your accent overall still sounds pretty much the same. It's probably because your mouth muscles are still shaped exactly the way they are for the sounds of your native language, and your mouth muscles are not trained for the sounds in an American accent. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. Let's say that we have two people. The first person's name is Dmitry, and he's Russian. The second person's name is Sarah, and she's American. When Dmitry talks as a Russian, his tongue is naturally very narrow and convex because it has to be for the sounds in the Russian language. But then when Sarah speaks, her tongue is naturally very wide and concave because it has to be for the sounds in American English. So here's the point. If Sarah or Dmitry decides to learn the other one's language and they try to learn the sounds without first going and tackling the different muscle shapes, they're going to find it very painfully difficult. If you try to speak English with American sounds, but your tongue is still shaped for the sounds in your language, you're never going to get it, and it's going to be so frustrating. But imagine if you could learn the patterns and the way that you need to shape your muscles overall, and then when you actually tackled the sounds, they naturally came out sounding clearer and more native-like. And the whole process was a whole lot less frustrating as a result. So that's why I built a course not focused on just teaching you pronunciation, but teaching you muscle training, how to move your mouth muscles the way that Americans do in order to produce American sounds. A lot of people think that if you're an adult and you speak English as a second language, that's it. You lost your chance. Now you can't sound native. Now it's going to be more difficult to sound 100% native 100% of the time, but you certainly can get very close to a perfect native-like accent. You just have to be willing to put in the work, you have to have the right method, and you have to be willing to go in and adjust those patterns in how you move your muscles. But once your muscles are trained for the sounds, you can actually start to sound very, very close to a native speaker. Not just clearer, but more natural and more in control of your speech. You're going to become so aware of what your natural tendencies are for how you move your mouth muscles in your native language and what the natural tendencies are for Americans speaking English, to the point where you can train and then activate these patterns in your speech so that it consistently sounds more native-like, more natural, and clearer. And then whenever something's off, whenever you fall back into the patterns of how you move your mouth muscles in your native language, you're going to be very, very, very aware to the point where you can stop and correct yourself to get back on track. And because you're going to be able to learn a more native-like American accent, and you're going to become so in control of your speech, whenever you show up to meetings, presentations, or casual chats with friends, you're going to feel a lot more confident about your speech. So let's talk about what you'll be learning. In Module 1, you're going to learn about the basic mouth muscle settings that you have to have in order for your sounds to be clearer and more native-like. Basically, you're going to learn what default settings in the mouth give us an American accent. You're going to learn what general shape the tongue is in, where it rests in the mouth, and how it moves. And you're also going to learn how we move our lips and how we move our jaw. But you're not just going to hear me talking about it. You're going to learn how to actually do these things through targeted exercises. So in the videos, you'll see me saying, hey, grab a mirror, try this out. Here's what I want you to do with your tongue, and here's how to do it. But here's the thing, I'm not just telling you how to do it or showing you how to do it from a distance, but rather I take you up close and I bring a light up to my mouth so that you can see the shape and movement of my muscles very clearly. I'm going to give you exercises that you can do in front of the mirror to train the muscle shapes and movements that you need for an American accent. Then in modules 2 through 4, you'll start applying all that foundational muscle work to consonants. But not just any consonants, the most important ones that make the biggest difference in your accent and how clear and native-like it sounds. Then in modules 5 through 7, we'll work on applying everything to American vowels. And this part gets really exciting because now that you've done the foundational mouth muscle work, the vowels become much easier to produce. It's very difficult to learn American vowels with the mouth muscle shaping of another language. So you're definitely going to have a major advantage here because by the time you get to the vowel section, your tongue, your lips, and your jaw are already very warmed up and prepared for the types of movements they'll have to make for the vowels. Then after you've learned the vowels, in Module 8, you're going to work on the iconic American R, which is difficult for almost every non-native speaker because it's impossible to make a clear American R if you don't have that missing piece from the beginning of the course, the foundational mouth muscle shaping. This is also why I don't recommend skipping around in this course. If you're going to take this course, you want to do it from beginning to end. You don't want to skip any parts. I very specifically built it with everything in a certain order to get you the best result. Each module builds on the previous one, so you want to make sure that you complete them in order. I also want to mention that what really makes this program different is how in-depth it is. I don't just show you what a sound should look like, I also show you what it probably looks like right now for you. Every time I teach you a muscle concept or a specific sound, I always show you how I anticipate you doing it and then how we would do it in an American accent. I demonstrate the differences between how we articulate sounds and how you are probably articulating them side by side so you can literally see and feel the difference. That means you're not guessing. You're not wondering if you got it right. You'll know because it'll sound different and more importantly, it'll feel different in your mouth. And that's where real change begins. So if you want a clear, technical, step-by-step method to learning an American accent, this program was built for you. I hope to see you inside.